Let's be honest for a moment. We have been hearing about next gen for nearly 5 years now, but half the time it just feels like we're playing PS4 games with slightly shinier puddles. It's a bit disappointing, isn't it? But then you get those rare moments, the ones where you look at the screen and realize your old console would actually explode if it tried to run this. I'm talking about instant load times that make your phone useless, ray tracing that actually transforms the image, and haptics that feel like genuine magic in your hands. If you want to justify that expensive white plastic tower sitting under your telly, these are the ones you need. Here are the 13 PS5 games that finally deliver on the promise.
If you want to show off your PS5 to a mate who thinks consoles are a waste of money, you load up Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. It is basically a Pixar movie that you can control. The next-gen hook here isn't just the graphics, though the fur rendering on Ratchet is absolutely mental. It is the SSD. This game does things that were physically impossible on the PS4. You have the Rift Tether mechanic where you pull entire dimensions toward you instantly. You jump for a portal when you're in a completely different world with different lighting, different assets, and different physics, and there is zero loading. None. It happens in a single frame. It's seamless. The particle effects are chaotic in the best way possible, filling the screen with bolts and explosions without the frame rate dropping. It is chaotic, it is colorful, and it is the single best argument for why we needed that solid-state drive. It's proper magic.
When Bluepoint Games remade this classic, they didn't just polish it, they rebuilt it from the ground up to humiliate every other RPG on the market. Demon's Souls is arguably still the best-looking game on the console years after launch. The Lightning engine is so atmospheric, it actually makes the damp dungeons feel oppressive. You can see the individual scratches on your armor and the terrifying detail on the boss's faces. But the real next-gen feature here is the 60 frames per second performance mode combined with the DualSense controller. When you parry an enemy, you feel the clash of steel in your hands. When you cast a fire spell, the trigger creates resistance. It adds a tactile weight to the combat that makes the original feel ancient by comparison. And the load times? You die, which you will do a lot, and you're back in the action in about 3 seconds. It removes the frustration and leaves purely the challenge. It is absolutely brilliant.
Insomniac Games are wizards, plain and simple. Marvel Spider-Man 2 takes everything good about the first game and cranks the speed up to 11. The city of New York is twice as big now that they added Queens and Brooklyn, and the traversal is frighteningly fast. With the new web wings, you're flying through wind tunnels at speeds that would crash a PS4 hard drive. The ray tracing is on by default in every single graphics mode, which is a massive flex. Swinging past glass skyscrapers and seeing the city reflected perfectly in real time never gets old. But the wow moment is the fast travel. You hold the button on the map and boom, you're playing as Peter or Miles instantly. No menu, no loading screen, no transition. You just zoom in from the sky and start swinging. It is so seamless, it feels like a magic trick. It completely ruins fast travel in every other open world game you'll ever play.
This is the game that proved 3D audio and haptics aren't just gimmicks. Returnal is a bullet hell shooter that moves at a blistering pace. The particle effects are stunning. There are thousands of neon projectiles on screen swirling around like a deadly light show, and the PS5 doesn't even stutter. It looks alien and hostile and utterly gorgeous. But you have to play this with headphones. The 3D audio lets you hear exactly where an enemy is spawning behind you before you even see them. And the controller, it is the best implementation of the DualSense hands down. You can feel the rain droplets hitting your suit through the controller vibrations. The adaptive triggers let you switch between aiming and alternate fire just by how hard you press. It creates a sensory loop that sucks you into the zone completely. It is punishingly difficult, sure, but it feels so responsive that when you die, you know it was your fault, not the hardware's.
It feels cheeky putting a free pack-in game on this list, but Astro's Playroom is genuinely one of the most next-gen experiences you can have. It was designed specifically to sell you on the controller, and it works. You feel surfaces. Walking on sand feels gritty. Walking on ice feels slippery. Swimming feels heavy. The haptics are so precise you can close your eyes and know exactly what terrain you are standing on. Visually, it is crisp, clean 4K at a locked 60 FPS. It's a celebration of PlayStation history, filled with Easter eggs that will make any fan smile. But beyond the nostalgia, it's just a rock-solid platformer. It proves that next gen isn't just about realistic graphics, it's about how the game feels in your hands. If you skipped this because you thought it was just a tech demo, go back and play it. It is an absolute delight and better than most games that cost $70. If you want to see the most detailed open world created, you play Horizon Forbidden West. The Decima engine is a beast. The level of detail in the environments is bordering on obsessive. The moss on the rocks, the way the light hits the water, the individual strands of hair on Aloy's face, it is staggering. When you dive underwater, it opens up a whole new biome that looks better than the CGI in Aquaman. The load times are practically non-existent for a map this size, which is a technical marvel. And the machines. Fighting a Tremotusk feels terrifying because the scale is so massive and the animations are so fluid. On the PS5, the Burning Shores expansion pushes it even further, rendering cloud physics that you can actually fly through. It is a visual showcase that sets the bar for what an open world should look like. It makes the real world look a bit dull, honestly. If you still think Final Fantasy is about waiting your turn to attack, you need to wake up. Final Fantasy XVI is a pure spectacle fighter that melts the screen. The icon battles are the headline act here. You're controlling massive kaiju-sized monsters fighting in space or on top of crystals, and the sheer number of particle effects flying around is enough to give a lesser console a stroke. It is cinematic in a way that feels properly next-gen. The transitions between cutscene and gameplay are seamless. No black screens, no loading. 1 second you're watching a movie, the next you're dodging fireballs. The haptic feedback is subtle but clever, letting you feel the weight of opening heavy doors or the snap of magic. It is visual overload, mate. It's loud, it's chaotic, and it looks absolutely stunning on a big 4K telly. It's the definition of a blockbuster. Capcom's RE engine is practically black magic at this point. Resident Evil 4 Remake takes a game we all know inside out and makes it feel terrifyingly real. The atmosphere is thick, the fog in the village, the rain lashing down during the storm. It creates a mood that the original game could only dream of. And let's talk about the hair rendering. Leon's hair looks better than mine on a good day. But it's the 3D audio that makes this a next-gen essential. Put your headphones on and you can hear the Ganados whispering behind walls or stepping on broken glass to your left. It stresses you out in the best way possible. The DualSense triggers add resistance to your guns, making every shot feel desperate and heavy. It's not just a remake, it's a complete re-imaging that uses every trick in the PS5's book to keep your heart rate dangerously high. Arguably, this is the best looking game on the console, full stop. Alan Wake 2 uses mesh shaders and some lighting techniques that feel like they shouldn't be possible on a $500 box. The environments are so dense and realistic that you will find yourself just staring at a coffee thermos or a damp wall for minutes. It blurs the line between live-action footage and in-game graphics so well that sometimes you genuinely can't tell which is which. The mind place mechanic is the tech flex though. You press a button and instantly, literally instantly warp from the forest into Saga's mental detective room. No loading, no stutter. You change the plot on a storyboard and the world changes around you in real time. It's proper psychological horror that uses the SSD to mess with your head. It's clever, scary, and technically brilliant. You don't have to be a petrolhead to appreciate Gran Turismo 7. You just have to appreciate perfection.
The car models are absurd. You can see the reflection of the track in the headlights and the texture of the leather on the steering wheel. The ray tracing in the replays makes it look like a TV broadcast. But the real next-gen feature is the haptics. The DualSense lets you feel the road. You can feel the difference between tarmac and gravel through the vibrations. The adaptive triggers lock up when your brakes lock up, ABS, giving you physical feedback on how the car is handling. And if you have the PSVR 2 headset, forget about it. Sitting inside the cockpit, looking around the interior while taking a corner at 150 miles an hour is the most immersive experience you can have in gaming. It's frighteningly realistic.
Now, this game is proof that next gen isn't just about resolution, it's about density. Helldivers 2 throws an obscene amount of enemies at you at once. We are talking hundreds of bugs swarming over a hill, airstrikes going off, napalm burning the ground, and physics objects flying everywhere. It is total chaos, and the PS5 handles it without breaking a sweat. The lighting is incredible, especially on the night maps where the only light comes from your gunfire and the explosions. It feels cinematic and unscripted. The co-op integration is seamless, dropping you into your mate's game in seconds. It captures the scale of a sci-fi war movie perfectly. It's loud, messy, and absolutely hilarious when it all goes wrong. A proper showcase of physics and mayhem.
id Software are the wizards of optimization, aren't they? Doom the Dark Ages runs on their latest engine, and it makes everything else look slow. The sense of speed here is unmatched. We are talking about massive, medieval-inspired environments filled with thousands of demons, all running at a blisteringly fast frame rate. The gore system is, well, it's detailed, let's leave it at that. The new shield saw mechanic relies on the physics engine to feel weighty. Throwing that shield, watching it bounce off 3 enemies and catching it feels incredibly satisfying thanks to the controller feedback. The scale of the Titan mechs you pilot makes you feel tiny and powerful at the same time. It's metal, it's fast, and it pushes the hardware to its absolute limit to keep that flow state going.
We waited ages for this, and Gearbox finally upgraded their tech. Borderlands 4 keeps that classic cel-shaded look, but the lighting and particle effects have been dragged into the modern era. The worlds feel denser now. It's not just big empty wastelands, there is verticality and life everywhere. The sheer number of guns on screen with unique effects is staggering. The seamless travel between planets is the big change. No more sitting in long elevator rides waiting for a level to load. You jump in a vehicle and go. The co-op performance is rock solid too, even when 4 players are throwing elemental grenades at once. It's colourful, chaotic, and finally feels like the technology has caught up with the art style. A proper looter-shooter experience that feels smooth as butter.
So there you have it. 13 games that prove the PS5 isn't just a slightly faster PS4. Whether it's instant dimension hopping, photorealistic horror, or just feeling the rain in your hands, these titles justify the upgrade. It took a few years to get here, but we're finally seeing what this machine can actually do. Which one of these gave you that wow moment? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you fancy seeing more. I'm off to clean my backlog. Cheers everyone!